Okay. Therapist Jane Nelson once said, being in a family is like being in a play. Each birth order position is like a different part in the play with distinct and separate characteristics for each part. Therefore, if one sibling has already filled a part, such as the good child, other siblings may feel obligated to fill other parts. All right, my speech today is going to be on birth order and how it affects your personality. And for my credibility statement, I'm a psychology major and I took a psych class in high school and we had a whole section on this, and so it really interested me because it does relate to everyone because everyone was born. But, so how many of you are firstborn children? All right. So the firstborn child is said to be a leader, and they're said to be dominant, and they also are said to be more caring about the family because they want to take care of their younger siblings. So how many of you think you have these traits? All right.
I got them all with the left.
All right, so a study by Loris Nyman says that 50% of males that are firstborn are dominant, but 50% of females are responsible. And so that makes sense because the firstborn must be responsible for the younger kids, but when you're in the older sibling role, you want to be dominant because you're the oldest and you're the leader. How many of you are middleborn? How many of you are the middle child? Oh wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of you. That's right, actually. Okay, so the middleborn child is said to be rebellious, and they're also said to be more ambitious, but by ambition it doesn't mean they have to be rebellious, because what if the first child fills the role of rebellion? As the quote said, the second child might feel obligated to fill the role of a good child. You see what I'm saying? Like, in the study, Lawrence Nyman, 36% of the males were ambitious, but 53% of the females were outgoing. So the middle child wants attention, they crave attention. There's actually, because they feel like they're deprived. There's actually a syndrome called middle child syndrome that is caused by lack of attention, because the middle child feels as if they're being deprived, and it is emotionally depressing, and they feel emptiness and jealousy toward their other siblings because they're the middle child, because the oldest child has gotten the attention because they were the only child at one point, and the youngest child, well, they're always the favorite, you know? So how many of you have youngest child? So how many of you are the favorite child? All right, let's get it higher. Okay. So the last born child is said to be spoiled. Yep. Oh, yeah, I heard that. It's said to be spoiled, dependent, and also a little bit more mature, actually. Yes. And this is because so true. They're said to be more mature because they have older siblings to look up to, and they also have to adapt to situations the older children may be going through. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but they're more dependent because everybody gives them everything. Like, oh, you want $100? Yeah, here you go. You're the favorite child. I can attest to that because I have a younger brother and a younger sister. I can go back to the middle child in a minute. But my younger brother is the favorite. Like, he gets everything. He could break the TV and I'd get in trouble for it just because he's the youngest child. But sorry to skip around, but going back to the middle child, my family is, I'm the oldest, I have a little middle sister and then a younger brother. My sister is, this is so bad. My sister is not a good child. Like, she is rebellious. I'm gonna tell you a story real fast. So one time my sister, this is just an example of how the middle child is rebellious. She snuck a boy in the house, and we came home, and there he was, just sitting in our kitchen. We're like, what are you doing here? There's nobody home but my sister. And he was like, you know, just hanging out, and he left pretty quickly. They never did anything, but that's just an example of how the middle child can be rebellious. And so, how many of you are only children? Yeah! One person, all right. You go, Beth. The only child is actually said to be, it's kind of a mix, because the only child is independent, but they're also spoiled because they're the only child, and they're the only child the parents have to give attention to. And in the study, it says that 28% of the children are independent, but 56% of them are also spoiled. But this is my visual aid, by the way, Professor Rowan. This is just a study of how the people were. Yeah, sorry. For my conclusion, so oldest children are the leaders, and they're more responsible. The middle children tend to be ambitious, and their personality kind of depends on the oldest child's personality. They're usually the opposite. The youngest child tends to be spoiled and more outgoing and more mature, and the only child also tends to be spoiled but more independent. And a quick fun fact for you. Some firstborn children are Bill Cosby, Oprah Winfrey, and George W. Bush. Some middle children are George Washington, Sidney Crawford, and John F. Kennedy. And some of the babies of the family include Jay Leno and Jim Carrey. So there you have it, guys. Christmas sweets.